On October 11th, 1865, a shocking event shattered the tranquility of Morant Bay, Jamaica. What began as a peaceful march quickly erupted into violence, leaving the courthouse in flames and many lives forever changed. But beneath the ashes of destruction lay the seeds of a nation's awakening. The Morant Bay Rebellion wasn't just an uprising, it was a battle cry for justice, equity, and dignity, a turning point in Jamaica's history that continues to echo today. In this video, we'll uncover the harrowing events, the heroes, and the legacy of this rebellion that shaped Jamaica as we know it. Imagine living in post-emancipation Jamaica. Slavery had been abolished for over 30 years, yet for the majority of Black Jamaicans, life remained a struggle. The promise of freedom was replaced by grinding poverty, high taxes, and exploitation. Land ownership was a distant dream for many, forcing families to work on plantations under unfair conditions. To make matters worse, voting was restricted to the wealthy, leaving most Jamaicans voiceless in their own country. Tensions boiled over after a petition from the parish of St. Anne to Queen Victoria asking for land was met with a dismissive response: work harder. This insult, compounded by the government's refusal to address the concerns of the oppressed, ignited a simmering anger. At the heart of this brewing storm were two pivotal figures: Paul Bogle, a preacher and community leader, and George William Gordon, a mixed-race politician and outspoken critic of colonial injustices. The spark was lit on October 7th, 1865, when a Black man was arrested for trespassing on an abandoned plantation. During his trial, another man, James Geoghegan, protested the injustice and was arrested, sparking outrage among the crowd. 4 days later, Paul Bogle led hundreds of men and women on a march to Morant Bay's courthouse. Armed with little more than sticks and stones, they demanded justice and fairness. What happened next was devastating. The authorities opened fire on the crowd, killing 7 protesters. Chaos erupted as the courthouse was set ablaze, and several officials lost their lives. The rebellion spread like wildfire across eastern Jamaica, with protesters targeting plantations and government buildings. But the colonial government's response was swift and merciless. Governor Edward Eyre declared martial law, unleashing the military and Maroons to crush the uprising. Villages were burned, hundreds of innocent people were killed, and many others were flogged or imprisoned. Among those arrested was George William Gordon, who, despite being in Kingston at the time, was accused of inciting the rebellion. He was hastily tried and executed, a move that outraged even Eyre's supporters in Britain. The rebellion's suppression was brutal. Over 400 Jamaicans were killed, and hundreds more faced harsh punishments, including flogging and the destruction of their homes. The violence left scars not just on the land, but on the collective psyche of the Jamaican people. Governor Eyre's actions, while praised by some as necessary to restore order, sparked intense debate in Britain. Critics argued that his heavy-handed approach amounted to tyranny, and his legacy remains divisive to this day. But out of this tragedy came profound changes. The rebellion exposed the deep inequities in Jamaican society, forcing the British government to rethink its colonial policies. In 1866, Jamaica's elected assembly was abolished, and the island became a crown colony, governed directly by Britain. While this curtailed local political power, it also laid the groundwork for future reforms. The Morant Bay Rebellion was a turning point. It highlighted the urgent need for social and economic reform and inspired future generations to continue the fight for justice. Paul Bogle and George William Gordon became symbols of resistance, their sacrifices immortalized in Jamaican history. Their bravery reminded the world that the struggle for equality is never in vain. One of the most tragic aspects of the rebellion was how it revealed the power dynamics of the time. The colonial government's swift and excessive response was not just an attempt to quell unrest, it was a message to anyone who dared to challenge the status quo. This event made it painfully clear how far Jamaica still had to go in its fight for justice and equality. However, it also sparked a newfound resolve among the oppressed, paving the way for future movements. Interestingly, while the rebellion led to the dissolution of Jamaica's elected assembly, this shift to Crown colony governance introduced a level of accountability to Britain that had been absent. It opened the door to debates on human rights and governance, both in Jamaica and in the broader British Empire. The legacy of Paul Bogle and George William Gordon is deeply woven into Jamaica's cultural and historical fabric. Paul Bogle's statue stands tall in Morant Bay, a symbol of courage and defiance. George William Gordon, though executed unjustly, is remembered as a martyr for justice. Together, they represent the enduring spirit of resistance that defines Jamaica. Today, the Morant Bay Rebellion is remembered as a pivotal chapter in Jamaica's story. October 11th is commemorated as Paul Bogle Day, honoring the man who led his community to stand against oppression. Statues and monuments, like the one in Morant Bay, serve as powerful reminders of the rebellion's significance. Museums and educational programs ensure that the sacrifices of Bogle, Gordon, and countless others are never forgotten. But the rebellion is more than just a historical event. It's a call to action, urging us to confront injustice wherever it exists and to fight for a world where dignity and equality are not privileges but rights. Here are 4 bonus facts that further highlight the rebellion's impact. 1. Paul Bogle's journey to leadership. Before leading the rebellion, Paul Bogle was a Baptist deacon and a respected community leader in Stony Gut. His ability to unite people from diverse backgrounds showed his remarkable leadership skills. 2. The role of Maroons. While Maroons were historically seen as allies to enslaved Africans, during the rebellion, they were employed by the colonial government to suppress the uprising. This controversial role remains a point of debate in Jamaica's history. 3. Economic reforms post-rebellion. The rebellion forced Britain to introduce some reforms in Jamaica, including the establishment of schools and public infrastructure projects aimed at improving conditions for the poor. 4. Influence on the global stage. The Morant Bay Rebellion had ripples far beyond Jamaica, inspiring other colonial territories to challenge oppression and advocate for rights. It remains a symbol of resistance against imperialism. The Morant Bay Rebellion was a defining moment that reshaped Jamaica's future. It taught us that courage in the face of injustice can spark change, even in the darkest times. Let us remember the lives lost, the sacrifices made, and the enduring legacy of this rebellion. And let us carry forward the spirit of Paul Bogle and George William Gordon, ensuring that their fight for justice continues to inspire us all. If this video moves you, dive deeper into Jamaica's rich history and share this story with others. Together, we can honor the past and build a better future. Please subscribe to our channel today if you haven't already done so. You can also check out other videos on this channel, Impacting Jamaica.